we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. We predicted a win at Goodison, and we've not had, I think we had 1 in 7. Well, it's not Goodison Park anymore, of course, is it? But at Everton, away at Everton. But we both predicted a win. Neil did as well, I think, and we got it. But James, it wasn't smooth sailing. It was a little bit of a nail biter, a bit of suffer ball once again. But we got 3 points. How you doing, James Johnstone?
Yeah, I'm better than again. Okay, I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this to you, Jack. I'm better than if we recorded right after. Had a bit longer to sit on it. But yeah, oh my goodness.
Oh no, we really don't make it easy, do we? It was a real tough watch again. I mean, even though I had to say at the end of it, I was like, why do I do this to myself? I was like, oh my goodness. Jeez. I was just like, there was a point in the game where I was just like, just finish one of these chances so I can take a breath, please, because I'm fed up of throwing plastic water bottles around the house. But look, we went there. Let's put it a little bit of perspective and overview before we sort of talk on the game. With 3 away games without a clean sheet, 3 away games without a win in the Premier League. I think we'd only won like I said, 1 of our last 7 at Everton. And they've been much poorer than this Everton side in some of those seasons, to be fair. We've always had a difficult game up at Everton. They kind of built this game, night game. They had their TIFO out. I don't know if you saw it pre-game. They had the whole thing going on. Sky Sports didn't show it apparently, but it's all over Twitter. They did the big thing, the lights. They were very, very energised pre-game, Everton were. Obviously, they had some absentees because of the African Cup of Nations, Dewsbury Hall out with an injury. We, of course, had some absentees because it's Arsenal Football Club, why wouldn't we? So I wouldn't really talk too much on Everton's. So there's a lot of things going into it, but they definitely looked very, very much up for the game despite the fact of those absentees. And but James, we came away with the 3 points, but you do leave yourself feeling, well, we need to improve drastically still in order to come out this season successfully, and but at the same time you look at it going, it's 3 vital points in a place that we've often struggled in.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, again, not going to sit here and say I'm unhappy with the win, but I am unhappy again with the certain aspects of that performance. And the severe lack of composure in the final third, which I'm sure, as always, when me and you break it all down with our numbers and everything that we normally do, we will touch on that a bit later. But yeah, again, if that's a performance that I'm getting in an April or a May when we're in the running, I can overlook certain aspects and certain things. But if that's what I'm getting in December, when there's so much more, there's just over a half a season left to play, and I'm like, we're looking as rugged as that into December. I don't want to go too early, but I'm like, you got a lot to fix, and you got to fix it quickly.
No, you're spot on. And, let's get into a bit of the game. The team, I think all of us were relatively sort of happy with the team, or certainly...
I didn't put a line-up out, Jack, because I thought that would be the way. I'm like, that picks itself. With everybody that's there at the moment, that's what I'd have gone for. Yeah. Now, you can argue, would I rather have had Eze instead of Odegaard and what have you? But I was like, well, no, he's a captain. He's always picking it. He's going to pick him. And I don't begrudge Eze being on the bench at the moment either. Sorry, if that upsets people, I don't.
No, exactly. I mean, he's had a few poor performances since the Tottenham game as well. So, I'd like to see him a little bit more in games like this, but that's something we'll come on to. But like you said, I didn't really think some lineups you think about. We'll probably discuss the midweek one because that's more interesting in a sense. But this one kind of picked itself. It's good to see the back four looking a bit more, people in their correct positions against Wolves. We discussed how we changed that too much. Can't be doing that. I mean, unless you're forced to do that, I don't see any need to do that. And I think got a lot of the Wolves line up wrong. So it was good to see. Yeah, he didn't do anything silly here. Corrected that here. And I do think that is our centre back partnership until Gabriel comes back. I think it will be the most solid. I think it was kind of proven in this. And the one thing we'll get onto in terms of the positives was that this looked like an Arsenal defensive performance. To be fair, I mean, for all the frustrations, for all the nail biting, they had no shots on target. They had 2 shots off target, and I don't remember either one of them. There wasn't really anything created on their side. After the game I had Robbie Earle saying, there was points where Arsenal were really under a lot of pressure second half, and I said, not really. I felt it. I'm an Arsenal fan, but as a neutral, I don't think that's true. I think as a fan, you're nail biting everything. You're always thinking the worst when the ball's anywhere near your half, to be honest. But as a neutral, I don't really see how you're seeing it that way, to be honest. So that was an interesting take on it. But James, the first half, there wasn't a lot in terms of chance creation really from us. We were the better side. We had more of the ball. But in terms of chance creation, it was pretty toothless. But the goal came in the first half. Just before the goal, that was probably our best move that I could remember early on, where Timber crosses it. What are your thoughts there with Gyökeres? Do you think that's enough to be going down for? Do you think it could be a pen? Do you think it needs to be stronger there? Do you think if he is stronger there, can he score that before it goes out from the corner? Because he scores from the subsequent corner basically. But when I rewatch it, I look at it thinking maybe you need to be a little bit stronger there.
Yeah. So for me, and again, people are going to go, "Oh, really?" But I'm Switzerland there, because I can see it in both ways. I think if he stays on his feet, can he use his body and get in front of him and nab something there? Yes. But also, that's a two-handed shove in the back. And yeah, the way he goes down, I agree with you. Referees ain't get... Look, he's been hurt. Well, not hurt necessarily, but he's been walloped harder than that. And he hasn't thrown himself about on the floor or whatever. However, when you get 2 shoves in your back now, that's when you get 2 that are in your back like that, they all go, mate. They all go with all the cameras and everything. And when I initially saw that, I went, that's a pen, regardless of how he's gone or whatever, because I'm like, you can't put 2 hands on a back anymore. Especially after the one that we had at Newcastle all them seasons back when, Conde, Gabriel and what have you. You can't do you don't put 2 hands on your back and get away with it now. You don't. Or if you do, it's very, very rare that happens. But yeah, the subsequent corner and what have you, yeah. And then I've seen people go, it's a soft pen. I'm like, mate, you're trying to be Dennis Rodman on the backboard in your own box. Again, we're going to critique the forwards later about how silly they're being. If I'm an Everton player, I'm going in there and going, what possesses you to do that? Why are your hands up that high, mate? Like, what are you doing? Oh, it's a moment of mad. I was when I watched it back, because initially none of them appeal for it. Calafiori has got his head away from but he should be turning his head towards the ball to attack the ball, but his head's the other way. So none of them really appeal. None of them appeal for it. I think 1 or 2 did.
Spot on. Why aren't they? I thought they didn't see it, but if you watch it back, they all see it. They all see it. And James, honestly, now with VAR, maybe you don't need to do it as much, but you've got to be running it towards the ref at that, not berating him, but just saying, go check this, man. Because sometimes they'll miss stuff. Sometimes they will, like the Gyökeres one. I don't know if they checked that or not. The push, if they did, it was very, very quick.
Always is.
Right. But, we appealed that more than we did the handball. And it's like you said, this guy's, he's doing Jordan Pickford stuff right there. I mean... Yeah. It's incredible. Whoever Brian is it? Thank you very much. Yeah. But I don't know what you're doing.
And again, he even had to be sent to the monitor to give it. So I'm like, well, why are you sending him to the telly? You can see that yourselves when you slow it down. He's got the hands as high, he's doing the Jay-Z Diamond or DDP from wrestling if you're a fan of that. And it's like, he slapped it. He slapped the ball. I'm like, why have you got to send him to the monitor for that?
It's all for panto, isn't it? It's all for show.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's a delay of 3-4 minutes. Absolute waste of time. You just look at that one eye and you go, pen, mate. Yeah. Don't have to come over to the monitor. We got you. No. It's a pen. Yeah. I'll lose my job for it if you disagree at the end of the game. Boom. Yeah, that's how confident you have to be, isn't it? Yes. That's what. It's just a bunch of numpties all running it. They're all Beavis and Butthead, every one of them. It's ridiculous. But I agree with you. But I don't know what he's really doing. I think he can claim that he had a bit of there was no contact on the player at all. I don't know what he's doing with his hands, really. Yeah. But I am like you, and I'm a little annoyed that we don't appeal that more. I don't understand. We all jogged back. The only one that appealed it a bit was Calafiori.
So I was going to say there was at least one of them that was going, hey, you're right. I think it was Calafiori, but when that initially, like I said, when that initially is played in, his head's away from the ball. He's not looking at it. So, but and then can't blame Gyökeres there. He done what he needed to do. Glad they gave him the ball in a way because he needed the goal. He hit that penalty like it owed it. He owed him money. So,
do you think? Yeah, great penalty, powerful. He scored 19 out of his last 19 from the start of Sporting to Arsenal. I think that data is correct. So, do you think that was a moment in time, or do you think we'll be giving our centre forward the pens from now on? Or it sounds like from Arteta it was a decision for the game. But I do think I liked it. Yeah. I mean, I've seen him come out and say that it was a surprise to him that he did get it. So that indicates to me that he ain't the penalty taker and somebody else is. And I'm guessing that was Saka. But the minute Odegaard picked the ball up, I thought to myself, well, you ain't taking it, son. So you're either giving it to Gyökeres or and I was like, no, it's going to be given to Gyökeres. And like I said, he needed that, and it's that now going to kick him on. I wonder. We'll have to wait and see. I wonder if Pickford being in goal might have been a factor for Saka than being England teammates. I wonder if that was
true. Yeah. He's probably practiced enough against him. Yeah.
He's done okay with penalties from what I remember with England. He's done okay.
Yes.
So I wonder if that was a factor. You could tell Pickford was really trying to delay everything before the pen, and so I like the fact we give the ball to someone else as well for that moment until they've done all their nonsense. They get sent back to the line, and then you give it to. I do like that, and look, he needed a goal. Gyökeres. I mean, let's stick on him, shall we? Gyökeres. I thought, my personal opinion, I thought he had a better performance today than against Wolves. That's not saying much because everyone was dreadful against Wolves. So, but I do think in terms of his running off the ball and us finding him, so almost we both didn't find him all the time. Mike showed that one, second half from Timber. He's got across that first time. I saw another view of it. Mike's completely right. That's a tap in for Gyökeres. But the fact that he made that run early, was good from Gyökeres, because if you keep doing that, we will find you. We're not that silly. We are quite dumb up there. We're not that dumb. But again, the first half, Saliba finds him. I think he should do a little bit better on that chance for me. He's through. Tarkowski's on a yellow card. Got to get that shot off earlier for me. Like, you've got to get it off early. It just takes a little bit more of a touch. But you do sort of see him just getting this. I don't think he should be unfit at this point, but it feels like when he's been out of the team for 3 or 4 games, he's almost like a real slow burner, and he just needs to build up that match fitness again. For whatever reasons, he's just one of those sort of Sol Campbell type players, as we've said. But what were your thoughts on him overall?
Yeah. Again, it was better than the performance that obviously we saw last week, and he's got a goal now. And it's like I said, you've got to kick on and you've got to push, because at the moment, the other options that are there, one of them is a guy that you want to be having minutes in the 8 because you're over relying on Declan Rice. and the other two, one of them, I keep hearing he's going to be back, and then he's injured again. And the other one, you can't play him 90 minutes at the moment. So you need him to be fit and firing, because the other options ain't, they're not sustainable either. Not that he's very sustainable at the moment, but so you got to get the best out of this guy. You really, really do. And no, I do agree with you. I mean, there's that one in the second half that gets pinged long to him, and it's him versus that Mikalenko. And he whiffed it, didn't he? His touch was so heavy and everything. And then Mikalenko eventually got the ball back off him, and he was sort of turning to the ref to look as if to be like, "Oh, come on, he's had a bit of too much of me there, or my shirt, or whatever." And I'm like, "You're never winning." I'm like, "You're never winning that, mate. You're never winning that
in this game."
I'm like, you've got to be stronger.
Theme with our centre forwards, other than Havertz, who I think sometimes does it, but generally speaking, he gives as good as he gets, Havertz. I mean, he really does. But Gyökeres, Jesus, Marino, they're all strong lads, but they go down too easily. Every time, I can tell them it's not going to be a foul. I know it's not going to get given. Even if it is a foul, you can just tell in the Premier League half the fouls they're not going to get given. So you got to stay on your feet. But yeah, look, I mean, he made better runs. I think some of his link-up play was a little bit better. I think the ball still bounces off of him too easily for me. I mean, when Jesus come on, I don't think he was particularly amazing. But the first ball he gets from a long ball, he stops it dead, flicks it off to his right, and we're away. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I've missed that. I've missed just being confident in giving the ball to someone, because the problem is, if it keeps bouncing off of you, you will start to stop giving him the ball. That's what will happen. They'll start to spray it elsewhere. And that's when people will go, he's not involved much. Why aren't we getting him involved more? And it'll be a confidence factor within the collective. And that's my concern, because I don't want that to happen. Again, we know he prefers the ball off the shoulder. He prefers running onto it. But there isn't always the option for that. So you need your striker to be able to hold up a little bit.
I mean, there was a good one in the second half where he did get it in that way, and he cut through, and he was like on the left, and then he cut back. He done one of them bendy ones that we've seen, and he scored from, against Leeds.
I remember.
He got through. It went to Saka. And then Saka tumbled, and then he tried to follow it up, and him and Pickford coming. Yeah, but I'm like, on another day, he gets on he gets on that and tucks that. So, that's the thing. There's so much potential there still, and he does things that no other forward in this club can do or will do. So it's harvesting it and channeling it. Again, it's the same discussion that we had last week. Does he help himself? No, not really. But did the others help him? No, not really. So it's still a balancing act, and it's still finding that middle ground. Yeah. But he did. But no, again, all of them were. It was better than last week, because last week was, abysmal from the lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It was better. And, he came off in this game, and I think he might play some part in midweek as well, but not maybe start, but I think he'll play some part probably, because, he probably needs it. And we actually, that is an area of the pitch that is looking, quite good in terms of rotation. And, if Havertz ever comes back, it's almost looking like we've got excess there. So, but it is an important time for him, because, like I said, Havertz come back. We don't really know the level of Jesus yet. Doesn't look like he can start games, but he'll probably start midweek, and that might be an opportunity for him. I think it might be a bit too early for him to start in Premier League games, but he may think otherwise, hopefully, and hopefully performs in midweek. But great pen. Good pen, got 1-0 up. Probably at that point, based on chances, we're a little lucky to be 1-0 up. I mean, we were the better side, but we hadn't created very much at all at that point. I don't think we really had many shots on target at all in the first half. I think that might be only it. And we kind of, after that, it became a very sort of drab affair in the first half. We were dominant with the ball, but we weren't creating enough. And Everton didn't really offer a lot at all in the first half. In the second half, the game opened up a little bit more, James. We really I mean, on the one hand, I was very impressed by the fact that we were really, really pushing to get the second goal. We weren't playing I couldn't really argue that we were playing 2-0 football or 1-0, which I argue quite a lot under Mikel Arteta. That really wasn't the case here, despite the fact that you ended up feeling the same way at the end of it because we didn't take our chances. But, Jay, I don't know if you want to run through some of the chances. I mean, there's obviously the great move from Saka to Timber to Saka, where he should score. Now, on that one, that is where Timber probably should play that ball to Gyökeres, and I think it's an easy tap in and it's game over. Now, when I rewatch it, I think he has to. I'm not really sure why Timber doesn't. He doesn't really strike me as someone that doesn't get his head up. I don't know if he doesn't feel the ball's on, but it does look really on that ball. Gyökeres is clearly onside. I think that would be a great team goal, but I don't know why. It's not a bad ball to Saka, it's just the wrong ball, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And again, Saka there, like we're going to talk about, the final third, composure again, awful. Placing that. Pickford's committed. He's basically, again, the guy's borderline on his arse. So you've got a whole, this is what I don't understand. You've got players that are camped there that are going to block it if you go low. So you need to go high into a corner and put, and again, it's the same as like I said about when we played Villa. Score that and we're having a completely different conversation. But it's just the decision making. And Trossard, who's been the best at it, mate, he's been the best for us this season by a mile out of all of them. He regressed today. He went back to how he was last season, when we were all going, he's a good player, but he probably gets sold in the summer because someone will come in for it. He's of good age, good value. Someone will come into it. He went back to that player when he's been Mr. Clutch, as the kids say, or especially in American sports. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, he's been Mr. Clutch. He's the clutch player this season. But again, and people go, oh yeah, but he hit the post. Oh, come on, James, he hit the post and everything. Nah, mate, that's a bread and butter chance for Leandro Trossard. Yeah. Again,
he knows it as well.
Again, Pickford's gone so early down, so you've got so much of an area to aim at and to hit the post. Yeah, come on. And the Zubamendi one that hit the post, I'm not digging out Zubamendi for that. I'm like,
he does quite well there actually with that.
Yes, exactly.
Because he's sliding, Grealish. Grealish is sliding, and he can't actually connect fully with it, so he kind of scoops it. Yeah. To the goal. Yeah, I don't think he can do much more there, Zubamendi. No,
exactly. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not gonna completely chastise him for that one. And I might, when I'm looking at Zubamendi to be productive in the final third, I think we really are having we really are having a meltdown, aren't we?
Yeah, no, but on the Trossard one, another great move. Another great move. Yeah. Declan Rice was fantastic in this game. I started sort of thinking throughout the game that, when you're a top side, you have certain players that you just know are going to give you 8 out of 10 every week, and he is without doubt the first on that list. I think Timber's probably a close second alongside Gabriel, and those are your three. I think those are your three that you just know. Some people may say Saka. I think Saka gives you a certain level, but in terms of output, like I said even last week when he kind of basically created the 2 own goals, it's not good enough for me, the output. You can't be our top striker, elite level, top wage, etc., and be sitting on, I don't know, what is it, 1 assist this season or something like that.
Yeah, it's not good enough. I mean, Jack, this is the big thing as well that I'll quickly go into whilst we're here, because I'll forget. I know what I'm like. My memory's awful, mate. Man City, with Haaland and Foden, they've got 26 goals on their own between them. Us as a team have got 31. So just 2 players there, 2 players in their forward line have nearly got more goals than our whole entire team. We're nearly halfway through a Premier League season. Eze, Trossard, Gyökeres, Saka are all on 4 goals. So if that's the way the season's panning out nearly halfway through, they're on course to all of them finish with less than 10 again. And we did, last season we had Havertz, I think, in the league with 9, which is our best.
And that was the first season we'd not had 10 for
Exactly. 100 odd years or something ridiculous. It's the 20s or the 30s. And I'm like, so we've invested all that money and all this firepower. We say it all the time, especially me. I go, so we got £172 million strike force in the summer, on top of the strike force that we've already had. And I know they've been injured and what have you. But I'm like, so we've invested £172 million on a strike force, and there's still none of them have got double digits again. And people can go and look at that and go, oh, creation. It is not, we are a low creation side. So if that's what and we've seen that's been part and play. This was his 6-year anniversary. Other than that season after Dubai, where we just we're slaughtering whoever, when we were slaughtering everybody by 5s and 6s and what have you. We ain't really, we've gone to a different, more controlled approach, I guess. That's the way, if that's the way you want to go, I would say cautious, but I know a lot of people like the word controlled and disciplined, which, yes, I agree with you. Defensively, there was, look at that last 10 minutes, 80% possession to 20% of theirs, as opposed to Wolves last week. It was 80% for them and 20% for us. But the numbers in that final third have got to improve exponentially, because at the moment that it is not, I say it all the time, oh, numbers. Yeah, that numbers have got to shoot up from all of them. All of them, because it's not good enough.
Look, we're second for big chances created in this league, 59 to City. Yeah. 50 to us, right?
We've got to be with open play XG. We're still in the top 5 as well, right?
This one doesn't say open play, but I think last time I saw open play, we were 3rd or 4th. Overall expected goals, we're 3rd, I guess. Man City, Man U, then us. But in terms of shots on target, which we're down sort of level with Bournemouth in 4th and 5th. For me, we get a lot of big moments where sometimes we don't even get the shot off, or if we do get the shot off, it's so wayward, So I actually think oddly enough, I think our open play, since Gabriel's gone out, most of our chance creation has all come through open play. We've almost been, there's almost been nothing there from set pieces. I think we scored one from a set piece recently, but basically there's been nothing there from set pieces. So we saw the one from Saka, but it wasn't what you call a typical set piece, own goal. So I actually think our chance creation, it's not really, like you said, it's not really about that. Sure, for the amount of territory you have, we play against the deepest lines in the league, we play with the highest line in the league, we play with the most territory in the final third in the league. I think, we should be creating more, but our chance creation is not really the major issue. I think the issue is when we get into those situations, we've got a lot of attackers that don't understand the seriousness of the moment. I just don't think they do. I always watch us thinking, oh, we look like we're playing a training game here. We don't really understand how absolutely essential it is for us to be clinical in those moments. Like you said with the Saka one, he has to understand that he has to be putting his foot through that, or at the very least realise he's got 3 or 4 yards around him. He can move it onto his other foot and then really lever it, rather than give a little nice pass back. With Trossard, like you said, whole goal to aim at. It's not good enough, Leandro. Maybe I'll give you a pass based on your season so far, but again, you don't have to be that cute with it at that point. You just have to put it in the back of the net. No one cares if you put it top bins. Just put it in the back of the net. Get shots on target. Get shot. Like, it's just not good enough. And there's so many openings like that we see where actually you never actually get the shot off. Odegaard's one of the most guilty for it for me. I see him in so many good positions on the edge of the box, and I just think, if the pass isn't on, don't try to make it. Get out your feet and shoot that. Shoot it. You've got a great shot on you when you can do that. Don't overthink it. Stop overplaying it. And we're so guilty of overplaying. I think we're so guilty of overplaying in the final third. It's okay when we're overplaying, trying to build play from the back and things like that. Once you get in the final third, it needs to be quick, boom. Decision making straight off. Don't think on it. go with your gut, that kind of stuff, instinctive stuff. Ise's one of the best for that, which is why I keep going back to thinking we have to find a way of getting him in this team, because I think he's such a breath of fresh air. What you saw against Tottenham was not an outlier in his career. It's been an outlier maybe with Arsenal so far, but it's not really in his career. He does that a lot. Watch him leading up to the cup final with Palace last season. I mean, there's all those types of goals. One touch finish from the edge, boom, see you later. We don't have a lot of that. We don't have a lot of those players. And like you said, Haaland, Foden, they're on massive form. Haaland looks like he's on a form of his life. Foden looks like he's back in PFA Player of the Year type form, to be fair. They've got Doku as well, who's in the form of his life. I know he's got a little injury, but nothing that the Barca docs won't figure out. And it's from there. And our best attack, that's why we always on here, especially in the recent weeks, been critiquing Saka a little bit, because he's our guy. He is our guy that is closest to that. He's not at that level in terms of output. He may never be, but he needs to get back to his level of output, which is what we saw pre-hamstring injury, really. And he's not at the moment, and I think he needs to get serious in front of goal. He really needs to get serious in front of goal, because you have the most proof that you can do it on a season in, season out, and we're not gonna get there without him doing it. I don't think. I do think we miss 100%. Kai Havertz as well. I mean, Kai Havertz doesn't have the output that even Gyökeres has at previous clubs and stuff like that, but I think he gives us that consistency of being able to play in different ways. And I think our best performances, in terms of that 89 goal season, they came with moving Kai Havertz to the 9, didn't they? So in a way, I kind of go back to that and think, we need a bit of that, or we need that at least as an option, James. But I mean, like you said, those were the main. Sure, we had others, but those are the main chances, weren't they, really, in the second half. But a lot better football. We were a lot more progressive with the ball. We moved the ball a lot faster. We kept pushing until late for the second goal. Before that, there was a few, though, tetchy moments where we gave the ball away too cheaply for me. The Zubimendi one, what were your thoughts on that? I know you said offline you think we're very lucky to get away with that. Could have been even a penalty. Some were saying a red card. That's ridiculous. That's never, ever a red card. I'm not even sure it's a booking, but it's a little bit lucky.
No, like I mentioned to you earlier when we were discussing it before we started recording and what have you, Saliba, terrible playing out the back from him there. It awful pass.
Poor second half.
Bit of a, like we've said before, the old hospital pass, as we like to call it. Just like, what you're doing there. And then, thank God the geezer was offside, and I know the contact was initiated beforehand outside the box, but like we got the one with Timber against West Ham, and the West Ham player didn't get sent off either, did he? They didn't go down a man after that. No, that was that Geoff, weren't it? The Senegalese.
I'm vaguely remembering this. I'm trying to picture it. And it started outside the box and carried on, and then so for me that is a stonewall pen. And I was shitting a brick there, going, oh my God, no, and you can see by Zubamendi's face. But thank God I think it was Barry. I think it was before they subbed him for Beto. And he's definitely offside, is he, for it?
Yeah,
so it's the right decision.
Well, yeah. I mean, the fact that weren't given because he was offside, because I'm like, it's a penalty every day. It's all day, If I didn't think it was, Jack, I wouldn't sit here and say it. Just to, I'm not going to have digs at Arsenal just because it makes me feel better about myself or whatever. Because I'm like, we're not in that game. There's no money in this for you or me by having an agenda per se like that. So I just say what I see and how and what I feel regardless. But it's a stonewall pen. It's a stone. Look at him. His face is like shit. And but luckily the geezer was off. When it was played in, he was off marginally. But thank God, he was.
Yeah, and that's how close it can be, James. They didn't create anything in the game. They But there was times where we were really sloppy in possession in that first 15, 20 minutes of the second half. And you just felt, any sort of half chance they could easily get back into the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was part of it.
I had some of the family in the group chat that just went, oh, that got reviewed really quick. And I'm like, because he's offside. I said, they're not. I said, the minute they know he's off, they're not going to look at it again and again and again. I'm like, if he's off,
I'm just rewatching it now.
I said offside's offside, boys. That's that's the rules. But
Is he offside though, James? It looks like Nkappi's playing him on.
Nah. They said he's off.
Really?
But you look at Zubi when it happens, because the way he turns around, he knows.
He feels like he knows he's left one on him.
Yeah.
Gee, I'm just rewatching it. It looks like Nkappi's playing, but I can't see that they never showed the line of it after it.
No.
Then obviously 5 minutes later, you have the Saliba one. Now, my opinion on this, I think there's quite a lot to go into it, because I think firstly, we've got to discuss whether it's a pen or not. But I do think there needs to be a little bit of context here before I really. I'm a little bit critical of Saliba with the way he handles this, to be honest. And I think this is actually something that Saliba has done before. It did remind me of the Brighton Pedro incident. Balls bouncing in the box a little bit. And sometimes Saliba is a little bit too eager to make contact with the ball. Like, if you look at this situation properly, Saliba's missed the header. It's a header. He's missed it for some reason. It's rolled down his chest. I don't know why. He's just missed the header. There's no one really on him, and that causes the bounce of the ball. Now, within that, I think this player Barry actually pulls Saliba's arm back, and I think there's a posterior view of this that actually I don't think this is why VAR cancelled it out. I don't think they would have even looked at that, but he does actually yank Saliba's arm back. But at the same time, ball's bouncing, Barry clearly gets the ball first, and then Saliba does hit into the player's heel. Now the player takes full contact with the floor before deciding the pain is too unbearable and I need to drop to the floor after standing upright completely after being hit. So there's something in that. That may have been a factor in him not getting the penalty, actually, possibly. They may have looked at that. But then again, they don't tend to give these ones, as far as I'm aware, not with Arsenal anyway, because Gabriel Jesus versus Villa last season, when the title was on the line, they decided that was not one, and that was a much clearer one, a much more obvious one. Gabriel Jesus' foot stayed in the air and his whole body went down. So what were your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, that's the big argument that I'm seeing online, because you've got a lot of people that are just like, jammy Arsenal and the refs and all this, and I'm just like, look, Gabriel Jesus gets absolutely wallied in the nuts by David Luiz, so don't even, let's not play this game.
Douglas, but yes.
Yes. Sorry, yeah, Douglas Luiz. Yes,
good memories, David. Though.
Yeah. But when you keep slowing it down and showing it, because that's what they're doing now, because they're trying to spin the narrative of how jammy we are and how have we got away with that, and poor Everton and yada yada yada. Yeah, when you're slowing it down, you're like, ooh, I've seen them given. But to me, in real time, I just was like, and again, like I said a minute ago, if I was in real time, if I thought that's a pen, I'd sit here and say, yeah, we've got away with that. But I'm like, nah. And funny enough, when you mention the one with Jesus and what have you, this is before they changed the rule. Again, this season, they've gone, no, we've got a higher bar and there's a higher fresher. That wasn't the case. So I'm like, now it is pretty much, is that violent contact with the intent to injure? And I'm like, no, there's no way at all. There's no way Saliba's going, I'm going to absolutely just punt at a ball and smash your leg in the process. There's no way. You go back to the game that was on before it, which was an absolute cluster, by the way, between them lot down the road and my other least favourite team in the world.
Self-sabotage Tottenham. They must have thought Liverpool had a title on the line or something.
Well, Van der Ven with Isak, and even though Isak gets the shot away and scores, how's that not a red? He's completely scissor motion straight across his leg. And I know Isaac's a bit, he's a bit fragile anyway, isn't he? But at the same point, when I watched it back, because I only tuned in right near the end just before our game started. I weren't watching properly or anything. But yeah, when I've seen the highlights afterwards and everything, I'm like, I'm like, whoa, how's he managed to stay on? Because I said, even though they've got the goal and everything out of it, I'm like, that's reckless. I mean, that's absolutely reckless from Van der Ven there.
Yeah,
absolutely reckless. So yeah, like I said, we're going back. I'm digressing slightly, sorry, but yeah, there's the high bar now, and Hwang last week. I think it's a red because I'm like, regardless, you're gone gun-ho with your studs up at someone's foot, whether you've meant it or not. You've done it.
Yeah,
and that to me is not overtly violent or aggressive. Is it stupid and silly? 100%, Jack. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, I for me in real time, I didn't think it was a pen, and I still don't think it's a pen now.
Well, looking back now, given the fact that Barry definitely fouled Saliba first in this incident, I would have been very frustrated if that had been given now. Yes. But when in the moment, I was convinced they were giving it. No.
Really? Oh, fair enough. I was like,
not because I felt it was one, because I felt it was. I was like, I've seen that before. We never get that. Yeah. They'll give that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's contact. They'll give that. But I do think this is one of those pens, and we talked about this offline, where I don't think this was a pen that was even discussed about a decade ago. I think people would laugh at it. I think they'd go
easily, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now with VAR and everything sort of hyper-analysed, and this sort of threshold for any contact being a pen, it's very, like the Saliba one, João Pedro, etc. I don't particularly like it. I don't want that to be. I mean, I'm not just saying it. I don't really want that to be a pen. Even did I think it was going to get given? Yes. Do we usually get those? Absolutely not. Do I think they should be given? No, I don't really. I don't think they should, because I think the threshold is ridiculous. And he's clearly dived because of the planting after it. He's clearly dived. He's sat on the floor for 3-4 minutes getting treatment because he knows VAR's reviewing it. So he's like, milk it as much as I can. Then they're going to be like, well, he's really must be proper contact here. Got up fine after it, no problem. Of course he did, because there was barely any contact, but there's contact, and I think it is clumsy from Saliba. And I do think Saliba has a little bit of these moments at time. I don't think he had a very good second half. I don't think he had a very good second half on the ball either. It didn't quite look like he was moving quite, agility-wise, quite as comfortably. Beto even had a few laid on him, sort of got a few balls off him that he never would let loose usually. And I thought Hincapié was our solid centre-back in this game. A lot of people criticising Hincapié for things that I do think he's slightly guilty of. Like, every now and then he has these Kieran Tierney-like moments where he just boots the ball up without looking. And he has a few of those moments. But once he calms that down, I think a lot of his defensive attributes are actually really, really good. And I think when he becomes a left back more, which I think he will, I think he'll look really, really good actually, Hincapié. And I've been quietly quite impressed by him, despite the few mistakes that have maybe even cost us a point or two here and there. I think he's done okay. First time centre back. If you're a nerd like me and you like looking at the touch maps and what have you, you look at his touch map yesterday and his heat map, majority of that is in a left back space, because I thought Calafiori was not good defensively at all yesterday, Jack. I did not think Calafiori gave himself a good account of himself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and again, I did another podcast elsewhere, as always, as people know, and I said he's very, very rash. I still think he is quite rash in Hincapié, but I thought aerially, brilliant. He had 7 aerial duels and he won 4 out of the 7. So I know, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks. I think he's very, very good in the air. Yeah. And that's another reason why I think Arteta and that. No, but I think that's another reason why Arteta and that likes him. Good in the air. You want that. Stop them all at source. You know? Absolutely.
So, but yeah, Calafiori, what was it? 16 times he lost the ball yesterday. I think that was the most of any player.
Really?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah. So, or second most. I think it might have been second most. I think someone might have got 17. I think, but yeah, Calafiori definitely got 16. So, again,
we've talked about our inability to convert chances, perhaps our inability to sort of rely upon. I do think you need guys without doubt in double figures, but if you're not going to get anyone with 20 plus, you need multiple with 10 plus, probably 3. And at the moment, like you said, we're not on course to be in that area. We can do it, but it's, we need to become more clinical. We need to become much more clinical, and that's the collective. I think if you go through all the front four today, they all need to step up their game much, much more. And, you look to Odegaard and Saka first and foremost, because those are your captain, your vice captain, your highest wage, the players that have been there and done it before in the sense of output. Odegaard, 15 non-penalty goals from midfield, the highest scorer, I think, non-penalties in the league, wasn't he, from midfield?
Yes.
Saka on course for beating Henry's assist record before his hamstring went ping, and has hit double figures multiple times in multiple seasons. Look, I don't ever think Saka's going to be like a Salah. I'm not convinced he'll ever get to that level of output, but he doesn't necessarily need to. I think there's a lot of attributes he has that Salah doesn't have. I think he's better off the ball than Salah. I think he connects with his teammates better than Salah. I think there's a lot of that going on with him. So they're very, very different types of players. But in terms of what he can do for us, he has to be the biggest output for us. He has to be. He has to be, because he's been there and done it multiple times before. That is his responsibility now. You can't go getting that new contract and wanting that new wage and wanting all the accolades that come with it. You've got to deliver with that. You've got to deliver it, and you've got to deliver it in big moments as well. And I think he's doing okay, but he's got to start finishing some of these chances, because we don't have anyone that's anywhere near as clinical as Haaland, and probably anywhere near as clinical as Foden from the edge of the box, to be honest. So we need you, Bukayo. We need you to realise that this is on your shoulders. You need to want that responsibility. You need to take it, and you need to produce it. That's what you need to do. I think he wants it, but he's got to start producing more for me. He's got to do. But the one thing I would say, of all that negativity around our, the fact that City have scored 10 more than us this season, they're obviously, creating more big chances than us, though we're not too far behind in chance creation, as much as many people might think. In terms of goals conceded and chances conceded, James, we are pretty flipping excellent, to be honest. I mean, it is quite abnormal. Everton were 9th in the league when we played them today. If they won, they'd be like a point or two behind their arch rivals Liverpool. Right, it's a pretty good start to the season for Everton. It's not like they're having a bad start under David Moyes. They're doing pretty well, and at their stadium, the only teams they've lost to are Champions League teams from last season. So, but in terms of goals conceded, obviously I think we've conceded 10 in 17 games. In terms of the XG conceded, we've conceded 10.1 expected goals this season. The next team has conceded 18.7. Okay, so when you look at that, as much as we're away from City in terms of goals, they're just as far away, if not more. I think I've got a stat here that says XG difference. No, they're more. So our XG difference is 19.2. Theirs is 14.3. So they're way more, away than us in terms of a defensive. Now, City's defence has improved. I think it's pretty clear that Donnarumma, as opposed to Trafford, and Rodri will probably improve that furthermore. But we've had a lot of defenders out this season as well. We've had Gabriel out for a month. We've had Saliba out for probably 2 months collectively. Mascara's out for 6 weeks now. Ben White's out again. We've had a lot of players out defensively as well. So it's not like we're sitting there going, everyone's just sitting there and, we're hunky-dory kind of thing. But really impressive. 2 shots, 0 on target, 0.2 XG created away at Everton. I mean, that is pretty impressive in itself, and it's not abnormal for us. We do that a lot.
Yeah, and a big shout out as well for Raya today. What was it? 5 high claims he made. That's the thing. That's what I was. You knew near the end of the game, a bit like with Wolves and teams that we've seen in the past. They go, right, we're going to do a bit of the old aerial bombardment. They're just like, we're going to hunk this into the mixer, and you're going to have to deal with it. And he just stops everything at source. And I'll tell you what as well I liked from him today. I think it was the one we mentioned earlier where Gyökeres was against Mikalenko. He went, well, none of this midfielders are breaking the lines, so I'm just going to absolutely ping him long. And I'm like, he's got that in his locker if he needs to, you know. I'm like, brilliant for me. For me, actually, I gave him the man of the match. I know Rice is a good shout. I know Timber's a good shout and what have you. But yeah, I'm like, no, he made one save. I can't remember. I don't know who that was from. They said that he made
have a shot on target.
Well, this is the thing. I'm like, it says on SofaScore that he made one save. I'm like, well, who was that from then?
I don't remember him making a save.
No, exactly. It says here saves from inside the box. So it says saved open play chance from Carlos Alcaraz. When was that then?
I have to ask Alcaraz about that.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't remember that at all. But I thought some of his passing, he did have one pass that went out, but other than that, some of his passing was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
To me, that one that was passed out, that was Hincapié. For me, that was more Hincapié not reading it properly. I don't think it was him. I think it was Hincapié not reading it personally.
I think I remember, and I think I agree with you. I think I remember being frustrated, but I think David Raya is a brilliant goalkeeper, and his claims he's not a big guy, but his aerial ability from crosses, I think he commands the box really well for such a small goalkeeper. He's really fantastic at that.
Stop it at source, mate. Just don't let it be a problem.
No, exactly. Yeah. And like we said offline, or maybe we've already said it a bit on this podcast, we played the game in the end kind of the way that you want to see out a game. You know what I mean? Like you, the only frustration for me is without doubt, David Moyes would have been saying at 1-0. Just can we be at 1-0 in the last 10 minutes? So in that sense, he got his wish. But I do think we did not as much as we could, but we really tried to get that second goal. And against Sunderland and against Wolves, you can argue that wasn't the case. We didn't try to get that second or the third goal against Sunderland, but you know what I mean? Get 2 goals to the good and get that insurance policy. And I think you have to, because what this shows is, again, even though they're 0.2 XG, it takes that one Saliba kick of the heel from a ball dropped down from a long ball. It takes the one sort of dodgy pass out the back and a silly foul from Zubimendi that wasn't offside to change everything. And suddenly it's just one error, and it's too... You're rolling the dice too much there, really, despite the fact we're so good.
You bury one of them chances like we've mentioned, and we won't go over them again, but you negate all that worry of having Saliba like that and everything else, because they would have been done. You look at what they did even at 1-0, like we've just gone through. They did nothing. Yeah. So if they were, you score one of them, they're probably going to come out more, or they're just going to go, look, let's keep it at 2-0 and not get embarrassed.
Yeah,
you'd have ended them. You'd have completely they'd have been done and dusted, and that's what that's what we got to look at. I mean, again, you're spot on, because the onus after City beat West Ham 3-0 and they go on top was over to you, Arsenal, and people had their knives ready. And they had the tweets all locked and loaded, and the TikToks and the whatever, all of them. They had all the headlines and all the clips. Right, let's get in let's tuck into me Arsenal slagging off on a Sunday for me breakfast. And not this week. Not this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely. We know as a fan base, these haven't been our best performances over the last 2, without doubt. But and we've got to improve. I really do think it's largely down to the attack. To be honest, I think it's that simple, really. I mean, Declan Rice was fantastic. Zubimendi, sure, he had an off game, but he's been fantastic this season. I think in terms of the substitutes, I do have a slight concern there that.
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta's got a slight problem here, because although his intentions were right in the game, we went for the second goal. We went, but you're not bringing on players with that intention, really. What you're doing is, when you're a goal up, which you often may be in games, hopefully we are, you are still concerned defensively more than you are trying to go and get that second goal. Because if you wanted to get that second goal, you'd be on your most creative players, and that's not what you did. You brought on 2 players in Martinelli and Marino, and the reason you brought them on was because of their ability out of possession, not in possession, because he didn't have the option to bring on any defenders bar Lewis Skelly. So that was kind of eradicated. The Mascara type, white type substitution just wasn't there. But the creative players like your Eze's and your flashier players like Madueke and things like that, he does not trust them in this type of game state. And that is the reason that Madueke's not played since his amazing performance against Bruges. It's not because he didn't love that performance. It's because in that game state, innately, Mikel Arteta goes, I don't trust you out of possession, and I'm concerned here. Look, it worked out okay today, and I think our intention in terms of how we actually played was right. But I do have concern with the fact that you're going to narrow the squad pool that you're going to trust here, and you've bought a very, very expensive squad, but they are your players and you need to trust them. And if you can't trust them in these types of moments, then we're going to really get to that point where you're only trusting 13 or 14 again, and that is where you keep getting these crazy injuries again and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Odegaard goes off, and in that right 8, he stated as soon as 1 year he signed his contract that is the hierarchy. He is not a winger. He's my second in command, number 8 on that right hand side. And now that Eze's come in, he's bumped him down to maybe 3rd. But you're thinking, well, Marino's the left 8 cover for Rice, but he still brought Marino on to play on the right before Nwaneri again. And at that point, like you said there, you wanted somebody that was going to pin them back. And yet, again, the intention and the way we played, yes, but the way that you're looking, the way you're looking at it, you're going, well, hang on a sec here. No, you're bringing on a dual winner. You're bringing on someone that's statuesque because you're thinking of getting a set. But, Saka and Rice, I thought that, like I said earlier, I thought Declan Rice was brilliant. And look what can happen when he has a nice 10-day, well, not 10 days, sorry, when he has a week break. And look how much having a week break helped him.
Better give him another one this week.
Yes, yeah. He better not be bloody starting.
I don't want him in that squad. I don't want him in the squad, to be honest.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But, I'm like, you're not playing. You're playing these players that contribute for you defensively over the offensive. And he still won't take Saka or Rice off in case we get a set piece, I think. Mike said that a couple of weeks ago. He'll leave either of them on if he has to because of the corner kick ability. And I'm like, but then I'm like, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing it. It's not a productive way.
Yeah, I don't always agree with Rice staying on, especially with the amount of energy and engine that he puts into the game. With Saka, I don't really have it. I think Saka is quite effective late in games, and we saw that against Wolves. But I think he should be open to moving him to the other side, and that's where you can get Madueke on. Do you know what I mean? If you've got the best right back in the league, which I believe we do have, you've got to be able to have that creative player out there, especially if you've taken Odegaard off as well. So, I think, Martinelli, he's understandable in a transitional game. Look, he could have easily got a goal today, and Arteta will be looking fantastic. But I do think the reason those two came on really today struck me as the reason they've come on is because of that. So that's just a slight frustration, really. I mean, it didn't change the way we played. I think, like you said, in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we had 8% possession as opposed to their 20. The intention was all right. I just think,
Jack, as well, just quick, and you can, what I love about you and Mike and Neil and Anthony as well is if I say something, you'll be accountable regardless of what it is. Again, am I being too harsh here? But I thought the game state that they're coming into with the substitution, I'm like, you're all too casual. Marino, not so much because he didn't really have as much as a sample. So, but there were bits there with Jesus when he come on, and yes, the initial first touch when he gets it, controls it and play. But there's other bits where I'm like, you're a bit too casual for me here, mate. I'm like,
is that Marino?
No, Jesus and Martinelli.
Oh, yeah, Jesus, yeah.
I just found them really casual. Again, and that's like we've said about with Madueke and Lewis Skelly come on against you. The last couple of, and I don't even blame Mikel for this, because I'm like, once you cross that white line, that's on you. He can't do no more once you're past that white line. But I'm like, just the intention of the subs when they come in. I felt it against Brentford when Saka and Eze come. I'm like, why do you think this is an acceptable level to come into a game? You're being brought on to change. You know, that's you going, I'm backing you to give me something here that's different to who's just come off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, for me, I'm like, you're not really giving selection. Okay, we're rotating midweek. Of course we are. We have to. But I'm like, you're not really giving me a selection headache.
No.
You know, unless the changes are being made because it's to protect everybody else and because, you know, we're the burnout. It's not him sat there, you know, if I'm Arteta, I'm not sat there going, oh, God, he's playing really well. Oh, I don't know who's going to be my left winger. You're not doing it. You know, he knows that team until everybody's fit again is who's playing. Because I'm like, who's knocking on the door? You know, okay, Madueke can feel a bit hard done by because he, like you said, he scored 2 great goals in Europe and he hasn't seen a minute since. And that's purely because he don't like what he does off the ball. Yeah. That is a Arteta, what is it? Intricacy, whatever you want to call it. The way that exactly. That's how he's setting his ways. But at the same point, I'm like, well, none of you are really making him make a decision. No, really. When you know who's coming on there and giving him a real head, you know, I want him to be up at night before a game, going, I wonder what. I'm like, no, they're all settled. Yeah. And that's another reason why I don't think that loads of them are as clinical as they can be, because there's no real. They know you'll still pick me next week.
There's still too much of a hierarchy.
Yeah. I think that's a problem. And again, I don't want to really dig in on Saka, but his new contract, and he's going to get given it, and he's going to be on 300 grand a week.
Yep.
We and you here both now with saying, is he on the level of 300 grand a week? No, but he's getting it. And does he deserve it? Yeah, because he's been the best, you know. But that money really isn't based on do you deserve it or not. That's to keep you in level with player, you know, and not. But in 2 years' time, other than that one season where he got 34 GA, which you mentioned earlier in the show, and that's where he needs to get to. He needs to go back to getting 34 GA. He's going to want to bump again in 2 years. So I'm like, well, if you're getting bumped to 300 now and you've only got 4 goals nearly halfway through a season, and yes, I do. I know he's been injured. And he's got 1 assist or so in the league or something? He might have so. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's 1, mate. He's been a bit unlucky with that, but, you know, in terms
of course.
One's not being given
but
to
at
him,
the same point, he's going to want 375 to 400 in 2 years' time. He's going to want to be upped again. And I'm like...
0 assists in the league, by the way.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm like... You know?
Well, and this is the time where you're... You know, the pre-contract moment, it's like Salah last season. It's where you should be, you know, the Aubameyang moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should be firing every minute. You just bump up the numbers, Mikel.
And I will not, you know, be angry when he gets that money, because I don't think he will he ain't going to be like an Aubameyang and you're going to get sulks and you're going to see a tail off. He'll still give. I've seen him on one leg and he gives. So that's not what I question, but I question, like you said, the output. And I don't think, you know, there's some people within our fan base that believe some people just cannot be touched. You can't say anything about that certain player or that certain individual. And it's just like, well, no. I'm like, if they're not at a level, they're all getting it.
Yeah,
that's how it is. That's how we roll.
Yeah,
that's how Neil rolls. That's how you roll. Mike rolls. Anthony rolls. Whoever. Because again, like we mentioned earlier, there's no money in this. There's no one sponsorship. You know, there's no ball raisers. Nothing that are going. Mention Saka and that this week or otherwise. You know, we're all independent.
Yeah,
I say what I think. I say how I feel.
Mm-hmm. And we love Saka generally. I mean,
of course,
we love Saka. I mean, we've always talked positively about Saka, and generally do. But
even this season, when we're saying he ain't doing enough, we'll be a fucking mid-table team if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
He can have a game where he has done nothing for nearly 90, 92 minutes, and then in that 93rd, he'll have a one-on-one, and he'll score it, or we'll have a corner, or we'll have a penalty or something, and he'll win us the game. There's not another one like that.
No.
There's not another one like that you can trust, that he can be absolutely honking and he'll still pull you through.
Yeah. That's why we hold him to that sort of standard, don't we?
Of course. Really? Of course.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think sometimes people think you just be, you just don't, you just don't want us to win anything. I'm like, I want us to win the fucking lot. That on Tuesday, I hope we take it seriously. I want to win that Carabao Cup because I'm like, this group needs to win something together, and then that will push up. If it was good, Jose always wanted to win that. Guardiola always tries to win that. Klopp was one of the first things that Klopp won, because he's like, that group, bit of success, and then it makes me more hungry for more. I'm like, this group ain't won nothing together yet. They haven't. So they need to know that they can all win. And people will go, oh, yeah, but... And again, Jack, I've seen fans going, oh, yeah, don't worry about this because of the league. And, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care about the Carabao Cup. I'm like, right, when we get to the final in Wembley then, you give me, you, Neil, Mike, Anthony, if he can fly, give me your tickets then. Because it don't matter, does it? Don't. I've seen people say they don't care for it.
Yeah.
At the moment, in the last 6 years, other than his first season winning that FA, who are we to diminish any trophy at the moment? Any trophy. I don't care if it's the third or fourth one down on the rung. We need to win something. He needs to.
Yep, absolutely. Well, in saying that, what would be your lineup for midweek? What do you think the lineup will be? Sorry, for midweek. I'm writing mine down as we start trying to remember what I texted.
Yeah, so it's very, very tricky. So I think Kepa will obviously be the goalkeeper. I think that's a given.
Same.
Right back, my head's saying Salmon.
Yeah, that's what I've put.
Because I don't know who else, but I don't think he'll play that Nichols because he's too small.
Yeah,
Salmon's
played a bit more this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I'm like...
he does play right back sometimes, I think, Salmon.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who Palace's winger. It would be Pino, and who would be their other one that they've got?
Sarr.
Yeah, but would Sarr be... I'm going to sound silly now, but would he be at AFCON?
Let's see. They played today, didn't they? Lost to Leeds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got pumped by Leeds.
Should we have a little look? Because they would have lineups. Well, he didn't play. Was he on the bench?
Ismaila Sarr is Senegalese, so would he be?
He should be. Yeah.
I'm guessing he's gone. So
Okay.
Yeah. He might
so
go
it
with
would
Salmon
probably be
right
Eddie
back,
Nketiah.
Yeah, he might go with Salmon at right back. Centre halves, Hincapié is going to be one of them. I'm guessing it'll be Saliba, because who else are you going to play at centre half?
Yeah, I've got Saliba and Hincapié.
Yeah, and then left back Skelly.
Yeah,
I'm begging it be Norgard.
Centre mid. Yeah. Don't play so mid. Please don't.
No, I'm begging it's Norgard. And then I'm going Nwaneri and Marino.
Okay.
And then I would do Madueke, Martinelli, and Gabby up top.
Okay.
I think that'd be me three.
I've gone exactly the same, but I've put Eze in instead of Ranieri. But
that's a shout. Yeah,
but it could be Ranieri. I just thought he didn't play at all today, and we're gonna. But then again, not starting Ranieri in this one would be like. But I do think there's a chance Ranieri gets loaned in January. I still think there's a chance that happens, because I don't see where the minutes coming from.
Do you know what? Actually, okay, I'll flip that and I'll go keep Nwaneri in, but I'll put Eze on the left because that's what you bought him for. So maybe not Martinelli starting on the left. Yeah, I'd put Eze on the left in.
That was the one I thought about as well. But then I was like, has Martinelli played much? Not really. So I don't know. No. But yeah, basically, if it's not Eze and Nwaneri, the other will be the first from the bench, I assume. Alongside Gyökeres, probably.
Eze and Lewis Skelly on the left-hand side. Is he going to trust that?
Yeah,
that's a bit.
That's the thing.
That's
I
a
don't think
huge
he will.
call, isn't it? Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking. Eze will be in the middle, and we'll put Martinelli out there.
But I will say, and Neil obviously loves the boy, and we all do. If Ethan does not start this game, he is going to be going, I've got to get out of here.
Yeah, I
maybe not forever, but I've got to get out of here.
I mean, like I said before,
if I can't even play the Carabao,
if we loan him to a team like Palace, or like a Brighton or Bournemouth, these sort of teams that play quite a good style of football, where you think he's going to get game time, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with it. He has to have the right mentality and not feel like he's been, sort of chucked down the pecking order. But he's 18. He's not 22, and he's Sammy Lokonga, and we're sending him out on loan for the fourth time. Or Fabio Vieira. It's okay. It's okay. It's not always going to be smooth for every youngster coming through. Sometimes there might have to be some of our top ever youngsters like Ashley Cole and Wilshere were loaned out to Bolton, and I think it might have been Palace. Was it?
He was at Palace. Yeah, it was Palace. Yeah.
So it's I know it's not maybe nowadays thought of quite as often, but there's no problem with it. There's no problem with it. I think what would be frustrating from his perspective is like you said, he probably was told there was probably a certain type of hierarchy. But I think as soon as you made the Eze signing, you're not silly. You're not silly. You know that's where he is, and we've had Odegaard out for a good proportion of this season, and his minutes have been pretty limited even with that. Yeah. So
I was going to say we rarely touched on him for this game, Odegaard. What did you think? Again, for me,
I think he was the epitome of overplaying at times, to be honest.
Yeah, it's too long, and it coming in too deep.
Yeah.
Again, I put it in our group chat, but I'll say it on here for the listeners. I think Zubamendi's too nice. We said about Gyökeres last week being too nice when people are in his spate. I think Zubamendi needs to go to him. You played with me in Sociedad, and we've played together here now. You know how I work on our. I'm like, don't come next to me basically as a double pivot.
Yeah.
Again, you've got a more recollective memory than I have with. I'll forget how this game went by about 3 or 4 hours time, because that's just how my brain is, mate. I'm terrible for it. But I don't remember Martin Odegaard getting something deep and pinging something long for some. I've seen Eze do it twice with Martinelli in the Champions League, in the Prem. So I'm like, when you pick the ball up there, when you're running, you either run into an uncommon press and you can't beat 8 or 9 people, mate. You can't do it. But also you're getting physical mismatches that you back out of now. And again, your ankles have been done over. He has been done over with his ankles and everything he has.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Zubamendi, whoever, the manager, whatever, someone's got to look at it and go, you can't hurt the other teams in our own half or by our own box. So you get, like you said, you get as close to that box as you can and you do what you do.
Yeah. I think he does it because he wants confidence and touches on the ball. It's when he doesn't feel like he's getting on the ball enough. But and this was an epitome of that. I mean, when is Odegaard not only our lowest touch midfielder, but he's our lowest touch midfielder by almost having about 50% less touches to our next midfielder. Odegaard had 54 touches in this game. Zubamendi, who came off, had 92. Rice had 117. So, he didn't feel involved enough. But it's not about that. Like you said, it's positionally. Where are you taking up those touches? Are you influencing our front three as our biggest creator in the team? From deep, you're not influencing our front three. What you're doing is you're just regurgitating play. And that's centre-backs can do that. And our 6 can do that. We don't need you to do that. We need you to find the passes between the lines. And in order to do that, you've got to be closer to the other team's box, not our box. So I don't like it. And he did better in the second half, where we collectively did. But in the first half, there was a lot of that dropping deep. And, Saliba took up his space to give the ball to Gyökeres, didn't he? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a bit...
Yeah.
It wasn't quite balanced.
Timber was more in that 8 than him.
He was good again.
And trying to thread a neat, And I'm just like, come on, Martin. I'm like, it frustrates me because I know he's better than this.
Yeah,
I know
way
he is.
better.
I know he is.
Way better. He's just got to simplify his game in the final third as well. Get his head up a little bit earlier. He's always great at getting his head on a pivot, but when we really need you to get your head on a pivot and get your head up and give the ball early, you take the extra touch, or you play the easier pass or the squarer pass rather than playing it really early through the lines. That's what Gyökeres wants. That's what a lot of our wingers want, I think, as well. That's what you've got to do. And it's a little bit frustrating because, like you said, he can do so much more. So hopefully he's just playing himself back in the form, but it's been a long time, isn't it, really? So that's the frustrating thing. So we got our lineup prediction. I think we're basically 95% similar on that. Let's see. I think he might go stronger than both of us have said, but let's see. You know what I mean? Like Salmon right back, is he going to do that? We're saying it, but is he going to do that, or will just Timber be rolled out again? I really hope he does do that. Look, for me, I agree with you, by the way, on the need to win trophies. But look, if we win this round, we play a two-leg against Chelsea, and then we play a final against City, probably, or Newcastle. So it's not an easy route. There never is in any domestic cup. But if we what we need, the only thing I'd say is we need to do it by protecting certain players at certain points. If we had a full squad right now to pick from, could pick a lot stronger team. We don't. We have 4 or 5 players still out. So we've got to do it in that sense, because there's going to be a lot. If we win this one, there's going to be a lot of games. We know how much the semi-finals screwed us up last year physically. There's going to be a lot of games, maybe some rearranging of fixtures, all that sort of stuff. Again, I want to win it, but I want to win it by making sure we don't, that we protect our key players, the ones that are on the edge a little bit here. The Rices, the Zubimendis, the Timbers, the Sakas, they shouldn't really be involved here, Yeah,
no, I agree. 100% agree.
What's your prediction for Palace and then at home and then Brighton?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'll say 2-1 against Palace, and I'll go with Waneri. I'm going to pick him or Madwecki, but yeah, I'll go 2-1 Waneri, and then Brighton. They drew 0-0 again today, didn't they?
Yes, against Sunderland. Yeah,
and he's a bastard, that Ursula. I don't like him.
I know. He likes playing against us as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're tricky customers, Welbeck and all that. He'll be bang up for that, won't he?
Is Welbeck fit, James?
I don't know.
That's a good
point.
I heard something about Welbeck. Let's have a look. He didn't play.
Okay.
He did not play. He was not on the bench either.
Let's be bold and confident like Neil. I'm not going to do like a big 4 or 5, but I'll channel my inner Neil and I'll go 2-0 against Brighton. Clean sheet.
Oof.
And I feel like I've, not gone 2-footed, but I've critiqued him quite a bit. I'll go Saka. Like, come on, Saka, give me.
Oh, Saka.
Give me a goal. Give me a bit of something.
Yes.
Give me something positive.
Love that, mate. Love that. I'll go 2-1 midweek as well. Jesus. And then I'll go 3-1 against Brighton. Odegaard. That's what I'll go. Yeah.
It needs a goal as well, yeah. Both of them do.
Yeah. We could say any attacker and we go, yeah, they need a goal. They also
very true, yeah.
All of them, we're going to go, they all need goals. How many people can score this goal, I wonder? Can we give it to 3 or 4 of them? We got to increase that goal tally, haven't we, James? But the main thing is getting the win. So let's hope both our predictions are right in terms of the direction of points and moving on to the next round in the League Cup, etc. So we're at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, at Purely Arsenal on YouTube as well. Just type us in there, subscribe. Thanks for all your comments on the previous podcast. We'll be back after the Brighton game. Wishing you a Merry Christmas, and hopefully it's a very, very happy one for Arsenal Football Club. James, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Arsenal.
Yes.
Back on the next one.